Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're someone who likes to keep everything in order, who double checks the plan, who gets anxious when things go out of control, this video is going to be for you. Hi, my name is Amber Stewart and I'm the owner of the Stew Project, where I help busy professionals maximize their living potentials by simply taking an emphasis on wellness. And today I want to help you understand a deeper reason behind your anxiety that no one really talks about. One that shows up in your body, your thoughts, and your energy, especially when you're trying to hold everything together. So maybe you've been eating cleaner, you've been meditating, you're getting your steps in, maybe you even tried therapy. But despite all of that, you're still anxious. You still wake up with that tension in your chest, feeling like your mind won't shut off, and still feel like peace is always just barely out of reach. So what gives? Well, if you're in a season of transition, maybe something in your life has shifted, or your body just doesn't feel the same, and anxiety keeps hanging on. Well, I want you to get excited because today we're talking about why anxiety stays stuck even when you're doing the work. But before we get into today's topic, I want to share something personal because I struggled with anxiety for most of my life. I grew up in a family that was deeply rooted in the community. Very social, very well known. Even now at the gym that I'm working at, I still run into people who knew my grandparents and remind me of not only how great they were, but how big of a legacy and impact they made in this state. And while I'm proud of my roots, don't get me wrong, but these deep ties also came with a lot of pressure. Be successful, dress well, be helpful and kind, even if it meant ignoring my own needs. And if you've been with me from the beginning, then you know I used to preach about how I was a people pleaser and how it wreaked havoc in my life. But I don't think I ever told you about how I got that way. Well, when my parents got divorced, things got pretty hard. My mom went through a lot of financial hardship. I remember going months without a working home phone. This is when we had landlines, and the kids used to make fun of me in middle school because they would call and the phone wouldn't work. Even though I was a cheerleader back then, it wasn't a cheap activity, and I'd constantly be reminded about how expensive I was, and it made me anxious to ask for anything. And even when I got older and started focusing on diet and exercise and meditation and yoga, the anxiety didn't go away. But it wasn't until I really started observing my thoughts, the way I beat myself up, the way I held myself to standards that didn't reflect my own desires, that things actually began to shift. Once I started making decisions that actually aligned with my spirit, the anxiety started to fade. And so these days, the only time I really feel anxious is when I'm ignoring the signs of my intuition. Now, fast forward to this topic at hand, because this is something that I see a lot with my clients, especially those who are high achievers or caretakers by nature. Now, although it's incredibly common, it often flies under the radar because when your nervous system is dysregulated and your mind starts searching for ways to feel safe. And for many of us, that means trying to control something, be it our food, our bodies, our schedules, even other people's emotions, which is why we become people pleasers. So anxiety is one of the body's most powerful messengers. And while most people treat it like a problem to fix or a signal to numb, the truth is anxiety is usually a sign that something inside you is trying to expand. But that expansion is hitting up against something that's either outdated, misaligned, or no longer sustainable. Think of anxiety like an internal pressure cooker. When your nervous system is maxed out, but your spirit is ready to grow, that resistance hits friction, and that friction often shows up as anxiety. This is where the good habits often backfire, because when your anxiety is rooted in misalignment, service level solutions don't stick. Yes, movement and meditation help, but if you're still forcing yourself to stay in a relationship, job, or routine that is draining your soul, your body's gonna tell you, and it's gonna keep sounding the alarm until you realign yourself and get on the divine path. And you have to remember that the body keeps the score. No, it's not broken. It's not working against you. It's actually trying to help you feel safe. And anxiety is that messenger and also that urge to control. So what your body might be telling you is that it's time to create safety from within, not by managing everything around you, but by healing the patterns within you that's keeping you stuck and anxious. So if you've ever dealt with chronic fatigue, tight hips, tension in your jaws, digestive issues, or even hormonal imbalances, this might be your body's way of signaling that it's tired of white knuckling its way through life. And if you're constantly overthinking, second guessing yourself, or shutting down when things feel uncertain, that ain't weakness. That's your system calling for support. So the real problem is that anxiety doesn't just stay in the mind. It spills over into every corner of your life. And here's the kicker. You might be doing all the right things physically, such as working out, eating well, journaling, but you still feel stuck. And it's often because anxiety is not just a symptom of poor habits. It's a symptom of misalignment. Okay, so sometimes anxiety can be your body's way of waving a red flag, letting you know that you're engaging in relationships, careers, or habits that don't align with your spirit. You might be holding on to a job because it's secure, but every fiber of your being knows you're meant for something else. Or you might be saying yes to everyone in your life while saying no to yourself. And the anxiety builds because your nervous system is stuck in a cycle of inauthenticity. Anxiety can feel like constant mental noise, racing thoughts, obsessive overthinking, the inability to focus, or difficulty sleeping. It can also be emotional instability, tearfulness, constantly on edge, irritable, overwhelmed, or just emotionally drained. There's also physical tension, gut issues, headaches, or chronic fatigue. Spiritually, there's spiritual numbness or that persistent sense that something's missing. You might even feel out of touch with your intuition, your joy, or even your sense of self. But here's the good news. You can heal. And you know I'm going to give you tips how, right? Now, physically, you can balance your blood sugar, move your body in ways that regulate your nervous system, reduce caffeine, and support your gut health with quality nutrition. Mentally, you can learn to recognize your thought patterns, challenge self-sabotage, and reframe internal narratives that don't serve you. Emotionally, you can feel your feelings without shame. Journal, practice breath work, or speak to someone you trust to process what's really going on. Now, spiritually, you can create moments of stillness where you can hear your inner wisdom. This might look like prayer, meditation, breathwork, or spending time in nature. And remember, when anxiety rises, it could be because you're being called to shift, shed, or surrender something. Okay, so what if you didn't have to be in control all the time to feel okay? Now, there is a way to shift from avoiding your emotions to learning how to heal mentally, physically, and emotionally. So your body can finally feel as good as you want it to. If anxiety is showing up everywhere and doing more isn't working, what do you do next? Well, first you stop chasing control and start working on building connection. To truly shift from anxiety, you have to approach it from every level, which includes your mind, your body, emotions, and spirit. And let's break that down a little bit. So mentally, you will start with awareness. Learn to spot your mental habits like black or white thinking, spiraling, or constantly expecting the worst. Tools like journaling, coaching, or even guided meditations can help you reframe your thoughts and make space for new ones. Emotionally, anxiety thrives when emotions are suppressed. So emotional healing requires safety. That might mean nervous system regulation, breath work, somatic exercises, EFT tapping, or simply learning to name and release what you're feeling instead of holding in. Now, physically, you need habits that regulate your nervous system, not just punish your body. Nourishing anti-inflammatory foods, deep restorative sleep, movement that grounds you like walking, lifting weights, Pilates, or yoga. Now, spiritually, this piece is the most people overlook because spiritual anxiety arises when you're living out of sync with your truth, when your environment, roles, or habits aren't aligned with your soul's calling. Maybe you're in a career that no longer lights you up, or a relationship that dims your light. Maybe your routine is full of things that check the boxes, but don't feed the soul. Now your spirit will start whispering, then nudging, then screaming through anxiety, panic attacks, gut issues, or chronic fatigue until you listen. Now, spiritual healing starts with getting quiet enough to hear your inner guidance again. So ask yourself, what does alignment really look like for me? What am I tolerating that my soul is trying to release? Where am I being called to shift, even if it feels uncomfortable? So if you resonated with any part of this message, you are not alone. And more importantly, you're not stuck. Your body and mind are trying to get your attention, not punish you. So if you've been trying to fix your anxiety through force or frustration, then maybe it's time to stop fixing and start realigning. Anxiety is not your enemy. It's your compass. It's here to guide you back to your truth, your rhythm, your wellness, and your power. Now, if today's message resonated with you, then I encourage you to explore some of my resources that help you take this work even deeper. First, there's my Mind Body Mastery course, which is a great starting point if you want practical tools to nourish your mind, body, and spirit as you learn to regulate your nervous system and shift into healthier habits. If you're ready to transform your relationship with anxiety and control, however, then my Stress Alchemy course will walk you through a powerful 4-step framework that will help you feel grounded and safe in your body again with no relapses. And if you want community support as you do this work, then I have a Stress Alchemy group coaching program, and the waitlist is now open. In my Stress Alchemy group coaching program, I have all the tools that I mentioned in today's video in an easy to follow way that's truly customizable to your lifestyle to help you get results just the same way I did. So all the links are in the description box. So I really hope this helps. If you like the content, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.